Welcome to a new story. Before we begin, please support us by subscribing, liking, and activating the bell button. Let's begin. The summer sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the dense forest as the Thompson family set up their campsite. Laughter and chatter filled the air as they unpacked their gear, blissfully unaware of the ancient presence lurking just beyond the trees. As night fell, they gathered around the crackling campfire. The flickering flames danced in their eyes as they roasted marshmallows and shared ghost stories. But as the darkness deepened, an unsettling silence enveloped the woods, broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves. "Did you hear that?" whispered Lily, the youngest, her wide eyes scanning the tree line. "It's just the wind," her father, Mark, reassured her, though he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The first sign of something amiss came the next morning. As they ventured out for a hike, Lily spotted strange symbols carved into the trunks of several trees, spirals, triangles, and lines that seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. "What do you think they mean?" she asked, her curiosity piqued. Mark shrugged. "Probably some kind of art or marking left by other campers." But as they continued their hike, the symbols became more frequent and intricate. They had an unsettling quality, as if they were warning them to turn back. The family pressed on, dismissing their unease as mere imagination. That night, as they settled into their tents, whispers floated through the air, soft, unintelligible murmurs that sent chills down their spines. Mark stepped outside, flashlight in hand, but found nothing but darkness. The trees loomed like silent sentinels, and he felt a shiver run down his spine. "Just animals," he muttered to himself, though doubt gnawed at him. The following day brought more strange occurrences. Food went missing from their supplies, and Lily claimed she saw a shadow flitting between the trees. Her parents brushed it off as her imagination running wild. But when they returned to their campsite after a hike, they found their gear disheveled and the strange symbols now encircling their tents. "Okay, this is getting weird," Mark said, a knot forming in his stomach. "Maybe we should pack up and head home." That night, as they prepared to leave at dawn, the whispers grew louder, urgent and pleading. They felt a palpable tension in the air, as if the forest itself was alive and watching them. Just before sleep claimed them, Lily whispered, "What if it's trying to warn us?" Mark dismissed her fears, but couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. In the early hours of dawn, just before they were set to leave, a blood-curdling scream shattered the silence. It was Sarah, Mark's wife. He bolted upright in his tent and rushed outside to find her standing frozen, pointing into the trees. "Did you see it?" she gasped. "It was huge, and it was watching us." Mark turned his flashlight toward where she pointed, but saw nothing except shadows dancing in the underbrush. "It's just your imagination," he said softly, trying to calm her. But deep down, he felt a gnawing fear. They needed to leave, now. As they hurriedly packed their belongings, they could hear the whispers rising to a crescendo around them. The symbols seemed to glow faintly in the light of dawn. Just as they finished loading the car, Mark noticed something moving in the trees. A dark figure with a glowing eyes watching from a distance. "Get in the car!" he shouted, adrenaline surging through him. They piled into the vehicle, heartbeats racing as Mark fumbled with the keys. But when he turned them in the ignition, nothing happened. The engine sputtered and died. Panic set in as they realized they were trapped. "Look!" Lily cried out, pointing toward the forest. The dark figure emerged from the shadows, a towering silhouette with elongated limbs and an unsettling grin that seemed to stretch too wide for its face. "Drive!" Mark yelled, but fear paralyzed him. As the creature stepped closer, the whispers crescendoed into a deafening roar. The symbols around them pulsed with energy, and it felt as if the very ground beneath them was shifting. In a desperate act of survival, Mark grabbed a nearby branch and charged toward the creature. "Get away from my family," he shouted. But as he swung at it, his strike passed right through. It was as if he were swinging at smoke. The creature laughed, a low, guttural sound that echoed through the trees. In that moment of distraction, Sarah grabbed Lily's hand and pulled her toward a narrow path leading deeper into the woods. "Run!" she urged. With no other choice, Mark followed them into the thicket, branches scratching at their skin as they fled blindly through the underbrush. The whispers grew louder behind them, angry and mocking, as if the forest itself was alive with malicious intent. They stumbled upon a clearing where sunlight broke through the canopy. In its warmth, they paused to catch their breath. But when they turned back to look at where they had come from, they saw nothing but trees, no path back to their campsite. Panic surged anew as they realized they were lost in an ancient maze of woods that seemed to shift around them. The whispers faded into an eerie silence. "Stay close," Mark instructed as he led them forward cautiously. They moved deeper into the forest, hoping to find a way out while feeling eyes on them from every angle. Hours passed like days until finally, just as despair began to settle in their hearts, they stumbled upon an old dirt road. With renewed hope, they followed it until they reached a highway where a passing car stopped for them. As they climbed into safety and drove away from that cursed place, Lily looked back at the forest. The shadows seemed to twist and writhe as if bidding them farewell, or perhaps promising that one day they would return. The Thompson family never spoke of that camping trip again, but sometimes at night, when the wind rustled through the trees outside their home, Lily would swear she could still hear those whispers calling her name, a haunting reminder of what lurked in the woods beyond their memories. If you like the story, subscribe to the channel to receive all that is new.